Hi, second graders. Today we're going to talk about categorizing and sorting. So we're going to take some pictures of animals today and we're going to sort them into categories. The categories are mammals, birds, fish, and reptiles. Here we have three animals. We have the African penguin, which lays 2 eggs at a time. A clownfish anemone fish, which has scales, fins, and gills. And a polar bear whose thick coat of insulated fur protects against the Arctic cold. In your head, I want you to see if you can guess which category these three animals would belong in. Do you think these animals are mammals, birds, fish, or reptiles? Next, we have a barn owl, which usually lays 4 to 7 eggs at a time. The rough green snake, which lays 4 to 12 sticky eggs under a flat stone or a log. And a seahorse. And male seahorses carry eggs in brood pouches. Then they swim using a small fin on their backs. What categories would they belong in? Here we have an Arctic fox. And the female Arctic fox can give birth to a litter of up to 14 puppies or pups. A bottlenose dolphin has lungs. They breathe air through a blowhole at the top of the head. A brown bear, and a brown bear mother gives birth to cubs during hibernation without even having to wake up. A rabbit, a mother rabbit feeds their babies milk once or twice a day. A leopard gecko, and leopard geckos are cold-blooded and they absorb sunlight for warmth. And a green iguana. And green iguanas often live in trees but come to the ground to lay their eggs. So think about these animals. Which category do you think they would belong in? Are they mammals, birds, fish, or reptiles? Let's look at a table. So here we're going to classify and record our data using a table. So you can see that down here, I've put all of those animals that we just looked at. There's a penguin, barn owl, Arctic fox, rabbit, polar bear, leopard gecko, seahorse, clown anemone fish, green snake, bottlenose dolphin, brown bear, and green iguana. So let's take a look at what some of the characteristics are for each one of these categories. Mammals have fur or hair. They give birth to live young. They have lungs and they're warm-blooded. Birds have feathers. They lay eggs. They have wings. They have 2 legs and they're warm-blooded. Fish have gills, scales, fins. They lay eggs and are cold-blooded. And reptiles have scales. They're cold-blooded. They usually lay eggs. They have dry skin, and reptiles will either have 4 legs or no legs at all. So I want to direct your attention right here to this row. In this row, what I've done is I have taken my data and I've recorded it with tally marks. So tally marks are just straight lines down. And when you get to a group of 5 tally marks, you put 4 down. And then for the 5th one, you cross it. Okay, that's what you do when you get to 5. So let's see how I got all of this information. So I said that there are 5 mammals. Let's see if we can find those mammals. They have to have fur or hair, give birth to live young, have lungs, and are warm-blooded. So if I look here, there's an Arctic fox. That's 1. A rabbit is 2. Polar bear is 3. Brown bear is 4. And a bottlenose dolphin is 5. You remember in the the information they gave us for the bottlenose dolphin, it talked about them having lungs. That's what makes the dolphin a mammal and not a fish. So there were 5 mammals, so I put 5 tally marks, 4 going down, 1 going across, and then underneath I put the number 5. Let's find our 2 birds. They're right next to each other, penguin and barn owl. Both of those animals have feathers, they lay eggs, they have wings, they've got 2 legs, and they are warm-blooded. So I classified those ones with 2 tally marks and put a number 2 at the bottom. We've got 2 fish. So we've got the clown anemone fish, gives you a little hint right there by putting the word fish in its name, and then the seahorse. So we've got 2 tally marks for the fish. And then our reptiles have scaly skin, dry scaly skin, so that would be our leopard gecko, our green snake, and our green iguana. Okay, so I have made sure that I have classified every one of those animals. Now that we've got all of our information recorded, all of our data recorded, now we can answer some questions. So we're going to flip back and forth between this page and the page before because we'll need our data to answer our questions. So question number 1 says, which category had the most animals in it? So let's go back and look, and you can use either your tally marks or your numbers. Which animal had the most? And if you said mammals, then you would be correct. There were more mammals than any other animal. Number 2, which categories had the fewest animals in it? I noticed that it said categories because there's going to be more than one. So if we go back and look, there are 2 categories that have the fewest number of animals classified in it. Can you find them? We've got birds and fish, both have 2. So those would be the fewest. So we would write birds and fish on the line. Number 3, how many more mammals were there than reptiles? Now, if you remember when we've been doing word problems, many more means to minus all those M words, many more minus. So I need to look at my mammals and my reptiles. So I'm going to look at my mammals. I've got 5, and my reptiles over here, I've got 3. Many more means to minus, so I need to subtract those numbers. 5 minus 3 equals 2. So there are 2 more mammals than reptiles. Number 4, how many birds and reptiles were there? So I want to look at birds and reptiles together. So when I look at birds and reptiles together, I've got 2 birds and I've got 3 reptiles. And I want to add those together so I can either count up the tally marks or I can do 2 plus 3 in my head, and I know that together there are 5 birds and reptiles. And then the last question says, how many animals were classified? That means how many animals did we put in our table in all? So you can again add up your tally marks or your numbers, and then we find out how many there were in all. So I've got 5, because I know that's a group of 5 with that diagonal line there. So I've got 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 animals were classified. Today you are going to complete problem set for lesson number 1. You're going to categorize the data you have. So you're going to use tally marks for one of your charts. You're going to use numbers for another chart. And on the back of your page, you're going to answer some questions similar to these based on the data in your table. Okay? Good luck. Can't wait to see your work.